And welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Dr. Robert Myers, our guest. He's from the Kelberman Center. You've been at the Kelberman Center how long?
Since 2006.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Didn't you leave for a while and then come back?
I did. I went back. So I was the first employee in 2006. I can't believe you remember I left.
Yeah.
I left in 2009 for about a year and a half and did some research at Syracuse University and then came back.
Yeah. Well, I remember because I was disappointed when you left because you're always such a great guest to come in here and explain things to us about autism and what the Kelberman Center does. But for those who have never seen you on the show, the Kelberman Center is located where and what does it do? What's its mission in life?
We are right on Genesee Street is our primary address, right in the Community Foundation building. And our mission is to fill all the gaps and service needs to support people with autism across the lifespan. So we have, over the years, expanded from just a diagnostic clinic, right, where we diagnose primarily children, but adults too, with autism and developmental disabilities and related mental health challenges, to a full suite of lifelong services ranging from preschool. We work in about 65 school districts across central New York, have long-term care programs in the form of group homes as well as non-certified apartments scattered all around the community, after-school programs, summer camps, the list goes on. We'll
talk about some of those things later on in the show. And I know you've got a new clinic that you've opened up. We'll talk about that as well. But when is the earliest? At what age is the earliest client you get in there, and what would the oldest be? What's that range?
Well, the oldest is easy to answer. They're never too old. Increasingly, we are getting older members of the community who have had a question of autism. Maybe they're in their 40s or 50s before autism was a prevalent diagnosis, and are coming to us sort of starting to question some of their social differences, questioning some of the struggles maybe they had at school or at work. And so we're able to work with them over a period of interviews to figure out if they have autism, right? And so we're starting to diagnose more older people. And the youngest is, again, really never too young. For children coming into our clinic, they tend to not be much younger than 2, because many of the delays associated with autism don't really start to manifest until around age 2. We start to see children who maybe aren't communicating or aren't socially engaged with mom and dad, and so mom and dad may have questions around.
Like smiling?
Smiling, eye contact, sort of general social engagement that starts to happen around 2 and 3. Sometimes language is delayed, and so that presents a diagnostic question. Often it's pediatricians who reach out to us and make the referral first. It's sometimes hard as a mom or dad because you spend so much time with your child, and most moms and dads are just loving their baby and maybe don't realize the delays are there. So often it's a family member or a pediatrician that raises the issue, and then they make the referral to us.
And the adults that you see, what would be the signs that they might have autism?
They generally have more global social issues that were either not represented when they were young or not diagnosed when they were young, particularly in that sort of 40 to 60-year-old population of people who, maybe had trouble keeping friends, maybe acted out a little bit in high school, maybe were very socially withdrawn. And then as they age, sometimes they have a hard time keeping work or maybe never even had a job. So these tend to be people that are more high functioning on the autism spectrum that come to us as adults. People who are more impacted, who maybe have a more global learning issue, right? Some people would associate that with a low IQ. Those people tend to be diagnosed, right? So they're not missed. It's the folks who academically and cognitively are pretty typical, but socially really struggle. They're what we tend to call high functioning autism. We used to call Asperger's. And often they go undiagnosed until older in life.
When I was a boy, which was a long time ago, but when I was a boy, you never heard autism mentioned. And now you hear it all the time.
Yeah, it really wasn't a diagnosis till the 70s, and then was either undiagnosed or underdiagnosed right through to today. The prevalence rate is starting to slow down a little bit. We're at 1 in 59. And when I started in the field in the late 90s, we were at about 1 in 1,000, 1 in 5,000. So you can see over the last 25 years, there's been a tremendous increase in the rate of diagnosis.
And that's why?
Good question. We don't know that What we do know is we're better at catching it, right? Our school systems, our pediatricians, family members are more aware of autism as autism acceptance has really grown in the last 25 years. So that's definitely part of it. What some research is questioning is there an increase in the rate of autism due to environmental factors, family factors, and we really just don't know that yet. The research isn't very clear.
Are there some people, for years you had people that weren't diagnosed that had autism. Is it possible that you've got some people who are diagnosed with autism that don't have it?
I suppose it's possible. You know, in our clinic, that's not something we see a lot of. We do occasionally get somebody who's got maybe a very complex mental health set of issues that may present as autism, but has been questioned by a physician or a school or a family member. And sometimes they come to us and just want to work out their diagnosis. You know, for us, at some point, particularly in adults, autism offers us an explanation to the individual, right? So if they know they have autism, that allows them to understand some of their underlying issues. And if it's helpful and helps them either at work or helps them get support to get back to work, then you know, the autism diagnosis can be a tool that's very helpful. And so we don't often have people come to us and say, I don't think I have autism and I was diagnosed with autism, right? I mean, if they're at that point, they may just not use the diagnosis, not identify with it. You know, I guess it's part of their medical record, but it may not be a part of their life in any kind of meaningful way.
As part of the treatment for autism, are there pills? What kinds of therapy?
There are not pills that directly treat the core symptoms of autism. However, there is medication that is used to treat some of the symptoms of autism, right? So if somebody has an anxiety issue, then there may be medication to support that. However, there are core treatments for autism, particularly early intervention, right? Getting young children the supports they need at a young age to help learn some of the skills that maybe they're lacking. Our preschool, for example, is a very intensive model that looks at some of the core issues of autism and creates a customized one-on-one education profile for each student so that they can gain the skills they need to be successful later in life.
And you've just started a new clinic for very young people over there, correct?
That's right.
When we come back, we'll talk about that clinic,
Great.
as well as those walks that are upcoming. Robert Meyer's our guest. He's with the Kelberman Center. Short break right now.